I will just skip the video at this point of time. I will run the videos at the end of the session. So I will take 10 minutes at that point of time. I'm just moving away with the slide over here. So while you put aside your sum of your amount for the current expenses, put the other money for growing purpose. And why we wanted to growing purpose? Why should we grow our money? Why should we invest? There are many goals in our life. I think we'll come to the slide of the goals in the coming slides. But why we are saving the money? We are saving and then converting it to investment. Today, when we are earning money, when we are already spending, there are some expenses which are going to come in my life, which are going to be requiring more money than the regular expenses. Like say, if I'm already a graduate, or if I'm already a BSc graduate, I want to do say masters, or I want to do an MBA, or say I'm already married, children are there, higher education for the children. I have a smaller house, a bigger house I'm looking for. Everything said and done, at the age of 60, I would be liking that I retire with good amount of money. So at those points of time, I will be requiring bigger amounts, because those amounts is what I'm going to be requiring to fulfill my needs at that point of time. I think I just missed on the PPT. I lost a net connection at one place. But anyway, what is visible over here, I will just continue while my connection gets in. So whenever today I'm saving an investment, so that when in future those goals comes before me, at that point of time, whatever bigger amount will require, I'll be using this savings, which has been converted into investment, to meet those goals then. So that is why today we save, we convert it to investment, so that we beat the inflation and then achieve the goals in the life which we want to in future. Just a moment, I'm having some issues in the net at one point, just a moment. Oh, give me a minute, please. Just a moment. I'll just connect with my hotspot. Just a moment, please. Okay, I just got connected from another connection. Just give me a moment. I'll just connect from. Yeah, sorry for the inconvenience, some technical issues over here. Greatly sorry. I'm just coming to that slide. Fine. So here where we just stop moving from here. I'll just open the tab. Just a minute. Okay. So like we're talking, why do we do the saving? Why do we do the investment? Yes, we have goals in our life for which we do the saving and then convert into investment for the reason. I would request somebody to mute yourself. I don't know who. Mr. Sunil Kumar, please mute yourself. Okay, thank you. Sir, what is the percentage of your interest? I didn't get that question actually. You can just repeat it again. What is the rate of interest you're talking of? Mr. Rajat? So our investments, when we do, it should be goal-based. Why goal-based? Because we have many goals in life. We have to achieve, like I gave the example, so many goals in the life. So we always will be having many goals in the life. Always try to see that you list your goals. Then make a priority, which is the priority as on date. Because given your existing income level, it would be difficult to achieve all the goals. So make a priority, which are the goals you want to achieve, prioritize them, and accordingly provide for each of that goal separately. Create a separate investment for each of the goals. When you do that, you know that you have 4 goals which you have identified, which you need to be addressing, and you have created investments for those goals. Whenever that particular goal comes before you, at that point of time, you can use the money specifically invested for that goal so that you're not disturbing your other goals. Say, for example, if I'm giving example, say when I'm at the age of I'm married, I'm already married, and my child is going to be going for higher studies after say 5 years. Then if I created a fund for this, I will create a fund which will be there investing for 5 years. And after 5 years, I will be having funds sufficiently enough to address this goal of higher studies of my child. Same way, if I simultaneously also created one more investment for my retirement. So if I've done that, at the point of retirement, only will I use this investment avenue. I will not use this investment avenue for other goals. For the simple reason, the moment I start doing that, I'm going to be disturbing my existing goals, which I'm going to existing goals and existing investments. So if my this investment I try to overspend for particular goal, the moment I will be addressing my other goals will be suffering for that matter. So always try to see that you identify the goals, prioritize them, and create a separate investment for that. Now, whenever we are looking for investment, what is that we look for? We look for safety. Yes, we look for safety. Whatever I invested, at least that much should come back to me. Then liquidity. What is liquidity? Whenever I want to sell it, I want to get the money, I want to convert that investment into money, it should happen easily. Otherwise, it is going to be difficult. Because, for example, say I have invested in the property. Now, property I invested, say 50 lakh rupees. After say 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years, it has become say 75 lakh rupees. So I'm very happy and I'm going to sell this. But the moment I go to the market to offer to sell, the buyers who were there many earlier, they will get reduced. Then somebody is offering me say 72 lakh rupees, somebody is offering me 70 lakh rupees, somebody is offering me 74, but pay in installment or something XYZ. So what is this basically? The liquidity issue. I cannot dispose of the property very easily. Then once this is done also, I have to go to the registrar's office, get it registered, and then pay the stamp duty. And then stamp duty, of course, will be paid by the buyer, then pay the brokerage, then give the possession. The person will be paying me in the installments, taking a home loan, everything XYZ. That means it is not liquid enough. Today, if I'm intending to sell my property, I cannot sell it today. It is going to take me 7 days, 10 days, 15 days, a month, depending on what it is. That's a challenge when we are investing in some assets which have liquidity issues, like typically a property. Same way, when we are investing, we look for better returns and also tax efficiency. What is tax efficiency? Say from tax point of view, if I can reduce the tax liability, then that is a better investment option vis-a-vis the other. Of course, everything has to be considered together. It cannot be in one. You cannot say only safety I'm looking for and I'm not worried about liquidity or better return or tax efficiency. Then maybe that's not right. Same way, if I'm only looking for liquidity, then maybe again. So we should try to have a wholesome look that it should be safe also and liquid enough. It should be giving a better return and then also a tax efficiency. So these features, when we are looking for, then we have an option called mutual fund where we can invest for these purposes. Before moving ahead, let me give an example over here, or rather put up something which is relevant to these 4 boxes. Supposing that's a company A, where you can invest, say 100 rupees is the value of that share of that company. And then there is company B whose share value is 100 rupees. Now, if I have to say that company A is a good company and capable of giving you good return, maybe the share may grow from 1 to 120 in a year's time. And company B, 100 may go to 130 in the year's time. Now, if I have to give you a choice, where will you invest? Company A or company B? What would be your choice? Where will you invest?
D.
I request you all to participate putting in the chat. Yes, if you put on the mic and speak, then maybe it can create a confusion. And we are more than 45 of us. Yeah, obvious answer is B. Supposing I add one more feature, what it is? Like say the company A, it is 120, but maybe it may grow to 110 at the end of the year. And possibly company B at the end of the year may become 90. Now, if I have to say this and ask you a question again, where will you invest? So what you will do? A, answer changed. What exactly happened? You did 2 things happen. One, you evaluated the return. What is the return you are getting? And secondly, you also evaluated the risk involved therein. Is it right? Yes, it is right. You should do it that way. Never look at the return independently. Never look at the risk independently. Look at return, look at risk, try to make a weighing of it, and then take a call whether you need to be invested in that or not. Remember one more thing, risk taking capacity doesn't remain same to everybody. Everybody has a different risk appetite. What risk I can take is not the risk you can take. You maybe not be able to take that much risk as I am taking, or maybe you can take much higher risk than me. Depends on person to person, depends on age, depends on your persons dependent on you, depends on your income source. Lot many factors are involved. So always try to see what is your risk appetite and accordingly do take that amount of risk which you can take risk. Because if you take the risk, only then you will get a higher return. If you don't take the risk, you will not get any returns. Say your money is lying in saving account in the State Bank of India, it can be considered as one of the safest place. And what is the return you will get? That 3.5%. So unless you move out of that and try to take some risk, a calculated risk, then only you will get a better return. So always remember one thing, you need to take the risk, then only you will get better return. Don't try to take unlimited risk. Unlimited risk is not what I am talking of. Always see the return also what you're going to get and then try to weigh it and then do it. Else it would be a very wrong proposition. So these all are the investment avenues like common stock is shares, then real estate, property, gold, fixed deposits. So this is where we normally invest into. Traditionally, where we have been investing, real estate had been a very good investment avenues in good old days. However, of late, we are seeing it how good or how bad it is. But then one question here before moving ahead, which I always try to raise. Supposing I have a house. Supposing I have a house which is of say 50 lakh rupees. Now my question, is this my investment? Yes, no. I have a house which is 50 lakh rupees. So is it my investment? Yes, no. Yeah, Rajat, I saw that question. I will respond it later. No idea. Third option, no idea. Please participate. If you didn't get the question, I will ask it answer. Again, I have a house which is worth 50 lakh rupees. Is it my investment? Yes, no.
No.
Yeah, no, it is not my investment. Why? Because it is my requirement.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
It
Yes.
is my requirement. It is not my investment.
Yes,
So
sir.
tomorrow, if my house is of 50 lakhs, its value grows to 1 crore rupees, I will not sell it. Why? I need a place to stay.
Mm.
However, if I have one more house, which with the intention of investment I have bought it, then yes, then you can treat that as an investment. Else, it is not an investment. So what we
Yes.
require is not our investment. What we are putting money with the intention to get some returns or some appreciation over a period of time. Well, when you're doing that, that is our investment. So don't mix up investments with your personal. Similarly, the gold. Gold, you may be having gold by in terms of jewelry, which you would be using for your house purpose. Like the word I used, then it can be investment only if you are looking it as an investment, else no. So what kind of investment can one make? These are all investment avenues where you can invest. But do we have expertise, time and money to do that? Like when I was talking you of example of A, B company, but this is because I gave you example upfront saying what was A, what was B. But in real terms, it is difficult to make an analysis of a company, whether that particular company is good or not, how good it is, or how bad it is, or worth investing or not. There are around 6,000 companies in India where you can purchase, invest in shares. So it would be practically very difficult to identify those companies which are doing very good, because of the 6,000 companies, some would be very redundant company, some would be doing losses, some would be not performing very well, some would be doing good, some would be doing better, and some would be doing stupendously good. So there are many factors contributing to any of them. We need to be in position to identify that company and then do the investment. So do we really have that expertise? Okay, do we have that time? And then of course money. Why money? That three factors. One is expertise, is because I'm already working somewhere, I'm earning my salary. I don't tell you that you should be taking out time from this and then doing this part, because you are expert in this, you should be focusing on this. Somebody else is expert in investment, somebody is expert in doing the investment part, let him do that, so that he can give you better returns. Secondly, thirdly, do we have time? We have to take out time doing this thing, whereas somebody is doing that full time. And lastly, the money. Why money? Because in some, supposing I have 1 lakh rupees to invest, what I can do, I can purchase the shares of one company, two company, three company, maybe. But ideally, our investment should be diversified. We should be investing in a very diversified portfolio so that our risk is reduced. How does that happen? Supposing I have 1 lakh rupees to invest. One thing, I can invest in one share, one company, or one mutual fund, whatever. However, I can do other way also. What is that? Supposing I have 1 lakh rupees, I can invest in not one, but two, three, 4, and 5 companies. I will be investing say 20,000 each in each of them. Supposing at the end of the year, this company number 5, 20,000 becomes 10,000. Company number 4, 20 remains 20, doesn't change at all. Company number 3 gives some appreciation, it becomes 22. Company number 2 becoming 30, and company number 1 becoming 40. Now, if I try to do a totaling at the end of the year, if I total this will work out to 1,22,000 against 1,00,000 what I invested. I got a 22% return, irrespective of the fact that in one company I actually made a loss of 50% and one of the company did not perform at all. Then why did I survive? For the simple reason I diversified. I may just have a think that if I would have invested in company 1, then my money would have doubled. Yes, it would have doubled. But unfortunately, if the selection was not company 1, but company 5, then your money would have howled also. That was the risk when you don't diversify. The moment you diversify, even if you pick up the wrong ones also, the right ones will take care of it. And in the end of the story, you will get a better return. And that is what you should be looking for when you invest. I will request somebody who is there, please modify. Yeah, thanks. So diversification is the solution to mitigate the risk. Whenever there is a risk, try to mitigate the risk by diversification. Mutual fund. Why mutual fund? Because here you can diversify. Now, how does mutual fund work? In the first thing, let me introduce that part. Before moving ahead, how many of you are familiar with mutual fund? If you're familiar, you can just put yes. If you're not familiar, put no. Please use the chat to the max. The more you participate, the more you will learn. And that much more I will be feeling like telling you. I do get some no, I do get some yes. But there is hardly few. Okay, fine. So let me take it. I will explain a bit of it. Mutual fund is basically a trust. It is not any company. It is just a trust wherein the investors pool in their money. They put their money into mutual fund, and here an expert is sitting over there who is investing the money as per the requirement of the investor. Say I want to invest in, say, equity shares. So I have to select the scheme of the mutual fund which is going to be invested, money is going to be invested in equity shares. So if I have selected that scheme where the money is going to be invested in equity shares, mutual fund will invest that money only in equity shares. If I have selected a scheme wherein I want to invest in debt, debts are borrowings or government bonds or companies bonds, then mutual fund will invest only in those instruments. If I want to balance the risk, so a mutual fund will invest in hybrid schemes. So there are different varieties available depending on what investor want to invest into. Accordingly, mutual fund will invest. It will not have its own discretion regarding the composition as to what is equity, how much is the equity and how much is the debt. It will have to go as per the scheme. However, once you have selected the scheme of equity, mutual fund will decide which are the best equities available and accordingly invest in that. Why? Because that fund manager is expert in that area. He can do much better than what normal investor could do it. This is full-time job. Whatever gains, earnings come, it comes back by way of investment from stocks and debentures. It comes back to the investor. So if I have created a pool wherein money has been put in, whatever growth is happening comes back to the pool again and gets invested again. How long? It will remain invested so long as investor doesn't want to withdraw his money. So long as the people who have put money in the mutual fund don't want to withdraw it. So basically, it is money is flowing in the mutual fund, getting invested, and returns are again coming back into the fund. And this cycle goes on unless the mutual fund investor doesn't want to withdraw it now. So that is how the mutual fund works over here. The major thing to understand over here are two major factors over here. One is there is an expert person who is investing over here. investment is happening by many investors are putting the money together. So the cost of the fund manager is getting distributed. You are getting a benefit of an expert wherein you are not the only person paying the money to him. There are many people paying the money to him. So cost per person or per unit is reduced. So that is the benefit of getting an expert for a lower cost when you put the money in the mutual fund. And mutual fund will diversify the investment. It will not, supposing you are elected to invest in equity scheme, the mutual fund investor, fund manager will invest in not in one or two equity shares, but maybe 10, 15, 20 of them, depending on the risk he perceives. That is the benefit of diversification which you get in the mutual fund. This all I just covered. It is a professionally managed because that's an expert over there. Good transparency for the simple reason that whatever is getting invested over there, somebody is trying to write on the board. Please avoid the situation. So there is a transparency in the sense that whatever investment mutual fund make, they update it on their site, and you can go and see that the scheme you selected, where the money has invested from that scheme. So that transparency is available. Liquidity, if you want your money back, you have to just put a redeem. You have to put to the mutual fund that I want to redeem my units. So on the third day, you will get the money in your account. That's that liquid. That's the liquidity regulated by SEBI. SEBI is Securities Exchange Board of India. If there is a mutual fund, somebody wants to do a mutual fund business, they cannot just start it. They need to take the permissions. They need to have some qualities, some financial background. Own money also should be involved. So there are certain criteria which they should fulfill. Then only they are permitted to do the mutual fund business. SEBI is the authority who is regulating this. It's a government authority, and then because of that, mutual fund what comes into business are considered to be the safer versions. Similarly, you can invest in small amounts. You can start as low as 500 rupees. So it is not that you should be having a lakh of rupees and you should be can invest. No, you can even start with smaller amounts. You can do a regular basis also every month 500 rupees. That is called SIP, systematic investment plan. And cost, as I mentioned, cost is very low because the cost of the fund manager is getting distributed to the fund. So cost comes very less. This is just the structure of the mutual fund. I already dealt in that. There are sponsors who form the mutual fund and they become the trustees. They don't run the show. They appoint the asset management company who runs the show, and trustees overlook them in addition to the SEBI also who is monitoring them. There is a good amount of transparency involved over there. Assets classification, I just covered this part: equity, debt, hybrid. So this all, why? One question here. Supposing I want to invest my money, is it that I have to invest only in equity? I cannot invest, if I'm selecting equity, I cannot invest in debt. Is it like that? No, it is not like that. At one point of time, you can be investing in equity also. Yeah. In one point of time, you can investing in equity also, in debt also, even hybrid also simultaneously. Why? Remember, you have different goals. You have many goals in life. Goal number one, say coming in 3 years of time, wherein your child going for higher education will be requiring the money. Goal number say 2, which is going to come after say 5 years, wherein there is a marriage occasion. Goal number 3, say a house, which is going to come in say 10 years of time, a bigger house maybe. So all these goals are going to be coming in your life at different points of time. So when you're doing that, whenever you're investing, just see what is the time period available for that investment to grow. If you're growing, if your investment is going to be required in 1 year of time, don't go to the risky assets. Don't take risk. Try to be safer. When you're going to be invested for a longer period of time, you are capable of taking risk. Take that risk so that you get a better return. If you're going to be invested for a shorter period of time or a bit longer period of time, try to see that you take some risk and try to balance the investment also, so that there is some risk and there is also some safety involved in that. Your returns will be of course lower than that, but there will be a safety element which will take care. So depending on your time horizon, you have to identify depending on your goals, you have to identify the time horizon, accordingly select the schemes. Equity schemes are normally considered a growth scheme wherein there will be risk element higher than the other scheme, but the time horizon is a longer one. In longer period of time, your risk gets reduced when you're investing in equity because there is diversification happening over there, and longer period of time, equity markets have gone up. For a shorter period, never go for equity. It's a very high risk. You just don't know. Your money may increase, it may go the other way also. So try to balance, identify the goals, identify the time frame, and accordingly make the investments. You at one point of time can have equity investment, also debt, also hybrid, also different varieties. How to differentiate between different schemes? These are the different schemes available. Equity scheme is usually for longer period of time. Debt schemes, hybrid schemes are for medium, and debt scheme is for shorter period of time. Same way, if you're talking of equity scheme, risk is going to be higher, of course, but that doesn't mean you should not take the risk. Try to see if you can mitigate the risk. Let me give you an example over here. Supposing I have a two-wheeler. Let me put it, you all would be having a two-wheeler. Because you all are marketing guys, you could be moving around. Now, you could be a very good driver also for that matter. But then, is there a risk that you will fall down while driving two-wheeler? Yes, no. While you're driving a two-wheeler, is there a risk that you will fall down? Yes, no. No, no. I don't know why you say no, because we are on two-wheeler. There is a chance that I may be driving fine, but there are gravels on the road. There could be road could be slippery, or somebody is just from behind just knocks me down. Lots of possibility while I'm on two-wheeler. So if I'm on two-wheeler, there is a risk of falling down for sure. Now, what do I do to reduce this risk? Can I reduce this risk? What do I do to reduce the risk? Or what do you do normally? What can you do about it? Because two-wheeler is going to be very helpful for traveling fast and longer distance. Yes, Gautam, that was the answer I was looking for. Helmet. Why helmet? Because there is a risk of falling down. And helmet is protecting me from getting affected badly because of that fall. It cannot stop me from falling. But yes, it is stopping. It is actually reducing the loss which I can have because of fall. I can even have the four-wheeler for that matter, so that I don't have falling risk. But that may slow down a bit to me because and cost of point also it could be I have to think on that. So there are different vehicles available. It depends on what you want to do, and accordingly, whenever the risk what you see, you try to mitigate that risk. The word is mitigate. Try to mitigate the risk by whatever avenues available, so that you try to take a better return from that avenue of investment. Equities are higher risk, higher return. One way of mitigating is diversify. Else, if you don't do it, don't have time, no problem. Do it through mutual fund. They are capable of mitigating the risk very well. Similarly, hybrid schemes, the risk factor is comparatively less compared to the equity, but returns also will be comparatively lower than the equity. They will give you moderate returns. Go for debt schemes, fine. Risk will be more or less, and returns also will be equally less. And go for the liquid schemes. Of course, risk will be very low, as good as negligible, and returns also will be so low again. So you may be having a goal which is coming in say 20 years of time, then you may select the equity scheme. You may be having a goal coming in say 15 years or 10 years of time, you may select hybrid. A goal of 3 to 5 years, maybe debt scheme, and goal within 1 year, go for liquid scheme. So depending on your goal, you should identify the scheme and invest accordingly so that you get best out of it. Just a graphical presentation. I'm not getting into this. You can invest lump sum. As I told you, you can invest lump sum also. You can systematically invest. Always prefer doing this systematically. This will help you create a saving habit, which we talked of in the earlier slide. Systematically save the money and then convert it into investment by SIP. That doesn't mean you should not do lump sum. Like you could be eligible for some bonuses or incentives coming in. So if you have some extra money, don't tend to spend it. Tend to save it and try to convert it to investment by doing some lump sum investment also. These mutual fund investments also enables you periodic investments also and even withdrawals. Withdrawals are systematic withdrawal plans are there. Now let me take some time on this. What is systematic withdrawal plan? Supposing I have created a corpus for my retirement of say 5 crore rupees. I am now retired. Say I'm much younger for retirement, but just to take it as example. Okay. So say I have created a corpus of 5 crores. Now, if this point of time I have a loan of say 50 lakhs or home loan or whatever XYZ, what I will do from the 5 crores, I will withdraw 50 lakhs and pay the loan and become debt free. Now, out of that 4.5 crores which I have there with the mutual fund, what I will tell him every month, please transfer 50,000 to my account for my expenses, because now I am retired, I don't have any money coming in. So what mutual fund will do, every month 50,000 it will withdraw from it and put in my account. However, what happens to that balance amount which is lying there? It is still getting invested, it is still invested, it is still growing as per the returns it is getting, as per the scheme what you have selected. If you just try to do some calculation on this, you will realize that even while you are withdrawing 50,000 rupees, your fund is not actually reducing, but grow at a slower rate. So you can, this is called a systematic withdrawal. What you require, you withdraw that much. Now, supposing if anything happens to me, then what happens to this money, 4.5 crore? Where does it go? Any idea where does this 4.45 crores? Supposing something goes wrong with me, then what will happen to that money lying with there? Any idea?
Nominee, I think they will get nominee.
Yeah, nominee. The word is very important, nominee. Provided I have nominated somebody, So always see that you give a nomination whenever you do a investment. You have a fixed deposit, see that you have a nomination for that. You have a saving account, see that you have a nomination for that. You create a mutual fund investment, see that you have a nomination for that. Always give a nominee so that in anything say untoward happens, then the person for whom you are creating that money should get it very easily. Otherwise, he'll have to struggle. He has to prove that he's the legal heir, bringing in all the papers for all those things. For whose money, your own money, is struggling. That should not be the situation. So make a habit to create a nominee. It's like optional for us, but we should make it mandatory of giving a nomination. One more example of systematic withdrawal. Say I have created a fund for my education of my son. Say I want to make him an engineer, and I estimate that he would be requiring 10 lakh rupees. Now, when he is going for engineering admission, I have to pay the fees. I would have created 10 lakh of corpus, but I will have to pay the fees here. I will not withdraw 10 lakhs. Why? Because when I'm admitting him for the first year, I will maybe having to pay only 75,000 rupees. Maybe. Then why withdraw 10 lakhs? Only withdraw that much what is required, and balance, let it invest, let it remain. Because when the second term comes, that point of time, again 75,000, you may withdraw it that point of time and utilize for making the payment, while other money still remains invested. This is the best example of systematic withdrawal, wherein you have created the corpus for the purpose. When the purpose comes before you, withdraw only that much what is required. Balance, let it remain. Withdraw only to the extent what is required. That's what you have to keep in mind. So that will always help you to manage your finances well. You can even do the switching also. You already selected the equity scheme. Say for that matter, you have created equity scheme for your retirement. Now at the age of 40, you have did this or started this, and now at the age of 55, you feel now I want to reduce my risk because equity carries the risk higher than the debt. So you may switch your money from equity scheme to the debt scheme, eventually reducing the risk, so that now the time period has reduced. Earlier it was 15 years, now it has come to 5 years, and maybe now after some time it will become 2 years or maybe 1 year. So there is option that you can switch your plan from one to the other. You started with equity, you can move to the hybrid, then move to the debt, so that you will reduce the risk because your time frame also has reduced during this period of time. Yeah, something like this. This is called systematic transfer plan. So I covered all this. I'm not getting back to this. There is one more video. I will not get into that. So these are different options when you're investing in equity. One is the growth option, wherein you don't get any money in between, but money keeps on getting reinvested, whatever is coming in that. Or you can look for dividend option, wherein whatever companies were paying dividend, that will be distributed to the investor in the mutual fund by way of dividend. So if you want some money coming to you, you can even go for dividend options. There is also something called direct plan. There's something called direct plan and there is something called regular plan. Now, what is the difference? The direct, first of all, the regular plan on the left hand side. There is charioteer over here, Sri Krishna sitting over here. So there are some registered distributors who help you to select the mutual fund schemes and invest in that, so that you can meet your goals. It sometimes becomes difficult to identify the goal and the investment related to that which you need to create. So you can always take the help of a registered distributor and they will help you to identify the investments where you can make mutual fund wise, scheme wise, you can utilize. So when you're doing that, you are actually doing it through a distributor. This is called a regular plan. Sri, please mute yourself. Mr. Sri, please mute yourself. So this is a regular plan. And now if you're doing it directly without any distributor, it is called direct plan. Is there any difference? Yeah, there is a difference. If you use a registered distributor, then there is some element of commission which goes to him. It could be in the range of 0.75 to 1%, something lower than that. So if you invested say 100 rupees, then 1 rupee could go to the distributor and your So is it, what is better, regular or direct? Both are better. If you're not sure what to do, you're not clean, please use the help of a distributor and get started investing. In due course, when you realize how to invest it directly, you can always switch to the direct plan. So it is nothing wrong in getting use of a distributor. If you're not sure, take the help. If you're sure, then go direct. So why we save and all that? Because time and money, these are important factor. Two things to remember over here: whenever we grow, whenever we have to grow, we have to give it time. Rightly mentioned at the start of the session. Supposing I understand most of you are from south also and east also. If I have to give you example over here, supposing I plant a mango tree. So if I plant a mango tree today, after 1 year, will I get mangoes on that? Yes, no. No idea. No. Supposing after 2 years, will I get the mangoes on that? No. So after 2 years, I feel that tree, 2 years not giving any mango, let me cut it. A very wrong decision. Why? Because mango tree requires 3 to 4 years to grow and then it starts giving you the fruits. Whenever we're investing, see that you give it time to grow. If you don't give the time to grow, it will not grow because it requires time. And when it grows like anything. So always try to see that you give the time. If I bring one more example over here, if I plant a cactus and give 100 years, it will not give me anything. So while you're investing, just see that you select a proper investment avenue and then you give it time. Don't just invest in something which somebody told you don't know what it is and then wait for 100 years also without any growth. So always select a proper investment avenue and give it time. It will surely grow for you. So two factors, always remember, proper investment is a requirement and you have to give it time. because growth will happen compounding. How soon to start? Earlier the better. The later you do, every delay of 3 years is reducing 35% of your wealth. So if you start 3 years late, your wealth is increasing 35% less as compared to what it would have if you would have started 3 years earlier. You can even do a step up. You started with 1,000. You started with 1,000 rupees of SIP. Now, if you feel that your income is increasing, then you can from next period onward you can increase it by 5%, saying that okay, from next month it should be 1050. So on and so forth. So by doing so, your amount of contribution will go on increasing, and yes, it will contribute to your wealth in a bigger way. So start early, because the major growth you will be seeing at the later part of the time, because it's compounding. Whenever it's compounding, you don't see the benefits in shorter period of time. Compounding, you can see the benefit over a longer period of time. So where to start from? First of all, know yourself. What is your income? What is the goals? What are your liabilities? What are your responsibilities? Accordingly, plan it out, and then manage your expenses, and then identify the goals, prioritize them, and accordingly create the fund. Don't forget to create emergency fund also. What is emergency fund? Today, touch wood, if something happens wrong and I have to be hospitalized, then there will be immediate requirement of the fund. That immediate requirement of the fund should be there at that point of time. If I try to put out from the investments what I've made, then that investments goal also will be disturbed. So try to see that you create some emergency funds also. Normally, these emergency funds are normally in liquid. Liquid, you can invest in liquids also, liquid schemes. So wherein the money is becoming available very easily, or fixed deposit or lying in saving account also is part of emergency fund. And similarly, retirement fund I already covered over that. There is a video of budget I will be taking up later. At least one year, if I'm talking of liquid funds, at least 1 year of the requirement should be in safe, high liquid funds. What does this mean? Whatever my expenses for the whole year, that much should be my emergency fund. That is the money which I keep in liquid, in saving account, maybe fixed deposits for that matter, because I'm going to require this money. Touch wood, if the COVID persists, then we again will be looking for the saving account and money lying over there. So at that point in time, if you try to withdraw from the market the money, and market, if it is for any reason going down, then we are facing a wrong side. So try to see that you create funds sufficient to bear at least 1 year of expense, so that you're not worried in short term for any uncertainty which is come up. And then this is a very important part: life insurance and health insurance. You all are part of this health area, so you know how costly it is. If somebody is going to be hospitalized and he's to be treated, what is going to be costing him? Sometimes it becomes very difficult to estimate also, and they end up digging up into investments. So always have a health policy and a life insurance. Life insurance is a investment. No, life insurance is not an investment. Life insurance is just a protection. So take a life insurance as a protection. Like supposing the two-wheeler example which I gave you, when we take an insurance of a two-wheeler, and if we go on making the payment of the premium, after 5 years, nothing happens to that scooter, the insurance company is not going to give you back the money. They will only pay the money when the scooter is getting damaged. Same way, when you're looking for life insurance, take a policy called TERM, term policy, wherein the premium is less, cover is very high. Cover is very high is very important word. Whenever we are taking a life insurance policy, you should have a very good cover, sufficient enough to cover your family's requirement for next 5 years or 10 years, whatever suitable. And second is the health insurance. Any hospitalization, you're not digging into investments. And pay the premiums. Yes, if you don't pay the premiums, then whatever you did is undone. So this is how the savings work. Emergency funds. I will not dwell much on this. This is just an example of the insurance cover which I was talking of. Say I have a regular expenses, existing liability of 23 lakhs, a home loan, 23 lakhs is pending, and my living expenses for next 20 years, say 2 crore 40 lakhs, and wealth, I want to leave some money for my child, for my and some asset also I want to leave behind of 1 crore, then my requirement is 2 crore 63 lakhs. I should take an insurance cover of 2 crore 63 lakhs, so that if anything goes wrong with me, 2 crore 63 lakhs is available to my family, from which they will pay off this liability. They will be having the living expenses for next 10, 20 years, whatever I've estimated, and also some legacy is already created. So whenever we are taking an insurance, try to see what is the amount of cover you want to, and accordingly take a policy. Don't take a policy wherein you're going to get money after every 5 years or 7 years or 10 years. That's not the purpose of the insurance. That's not at all the purpose of the insurance. Insurance is purely protection. See it from that perspective and take a policy. Asset allocation, very important. Whenever you're doing investing, see that you diversify. When I was giving you example of company 1, company 2, company 3, company 4, company 5, I was talking of equity. This is one investment avenue. You can have other investment avenues, like you could be investing in debt. You could be investing in gold also. You can even invest in international markets also. You can invest in liquid funds also. Always try to create a portfolio depending on your requirement, so that there is some amount of equity, some amount of debt, some amount of gold in that. Remember, whenever we are having food, that point of time, if I like sweet, that doesn't mean I will eat only sweet in my lunch, in my dinner, in my snacks. No, I will balance it by having something sweet, something maybe sour, maybe rice, dal, maybe sambar, sar, chapati, some varieties, lots of varieties, so that it gives what is required to my body. There has to be asset allocation in your investment also. Don't put all the money at once. Always rebalance your portfolio. Rebalancing is what, at this age, like the two-wheeler example again. I'm at the age of 18, I'm at the age of 25, I can manage the two-wheeler, I can take that risk. While I'm at the age of 35 and 40, wherein I want to reduce my risk because I don't want to take that risk of two-wheeler, I need to rebalance. I need to go for the four-wheeler there. Rebalancing is always required. Today, while I'm eating a very good food, having the junk food, everything XYZ, as my age progresses, this will going to be troubling me. I need to rebalance my eating habits. Same way, when we are talking of portfolios, rebalance it according to the requirements. These are the factors we should consider: risk and the returns while rebalancing the things. I will not dwell much on all these things over here. This all data is there. So you have to accordingly manage in equity, debt, or other schemes as per requirement. Gold also can be a small investment avenue, because we in India have a tendency to consume gold, or maybe we are happy having gold with us. So that also can be part of your portfolio. So there are electronic e-golds also available, or even mutual fund ETFs are available. You can through them invest in golds. This is just a chart. If you're looking for a low investment, high returns, try to see that. Don't try to invest very much in the high risk. Don't take high risk. Even if you're taking high risk, see that out of 100, you don't put all the 100 in high risk. Remember that Mahabharata, the risk what Yudhishthira took over that. Those are all high risk. Don't get into that frame, because it becomes very difficult to come out of that mental frame also. So if you have 100 rupees and still you want to take some risk, don't risk more than 10 or 5 for that matter, just to take the taste of that risk. If you take full amount in the risk, then you may be just thrown out of the market, and tomorrow you will not be there able to even invest something in a better options. So don't use a high risk option. If you want to do it for a smaller amounts. This is how the categorization happen: 1 year, 1 to 3 years, 3 to 6 years, 6 to 10 years, and 10 and more years. So if you're investing for a longer period of time, prefer equities. Shorter period of time, prefer liquid. Different varieties in equities available: large cap, mid cap, and small cap. I'm not dwelling much on it due to paucity of time, but then there are different varieties available in equity also. There are large cap, small cap, mid cap. All those varieties are available. check the portfolio quality. You can always, whenever invest, there are 44 mutual funds in India. So whenever you're investing in mutual funds, just see how old the mutual fund is. What is its asset under management? And what are the steady returns it has given over a period of time? At least look for 3 to 5 years. Don't look for just 1 year and take a call. At least look for 3 to 5 years. That will give you a better view what the mutual fund performance has been of a particular scheme. And if you're fine with that type of returns, then only go for that scheme. Volatility, we always have a tendency when markets are going up, we go on investing. When markets are going down, we go on selling. That's the most common human tendency. And this is the most wrong thing we do. This is the tendency is there. This is called a herd mentality. Don't get into that. If you're doing systematic investment plan, all these things will not affect you. If you're really capable of handling this, then you can do a direct investment. However, if you're doing SIP, then these things are getting automatically covered. There is something called rupee cost averaging. Supposing market is falling, you started investment with 3,000 rupees and NAV was 30 rupees. That is, one unit value was 30 rupees. Tomorrow, if market goes down, you are going to be contributing only 3,000 rupees. But since NAV is reduced because value of investments, what you have made had reduced, your value per unit also reduces. If value per unit reduces, then you start getting more units. I will show it in the next slide. Like this. That means while you invested, while market goes down, your value of the units go down. But since you're contributing systematically same amount, the number of units what you're accumulating is more when the value goes down. And when the market goes up, your value anyway is increasing. This is a rupee cost averaging because over a period of time, market tends to go up. So while it is going down, your money is accumulating more units. While it is going up, it is giving you the growth, including the accumulated units in the downfall. So always have a systematic investment plan that will give you a better return. Don't look at the market like saying, okay, market has grown, so let me sell. No, remember the goal what you have created, for which you have created investment. If that goal has come, only then you try to withdraw that money, else let that money remain. You can change the scheme also, but always see what is the purpose of changing the scheme. If the scheme is really not performing, then you need to change it. If it is performing but it's slow, then don't try to change the scheme. Remember one more thing over here: when you're switching from one scheme to another, what is the intention? Returns or risk? Accordingly, take a call. Don't mix up. Look both of them. What is the risk? You're trying to reduce the risk, or you are trying to get a higher return. And on that basis, take the switch. Just because your scheme is not performing, don't do the switch. I'm not dwelling much on this. These are our calculations. Rebalancing you always need to do at the age of 18, 20. When I have selected equity schemes at the age of 50, 60, I will not be preferring high equity. So I would be steadily changing my component of my scheme, just like the example I gave you of the food. As my age increases, I will try to balance my food habits so that it suits my body. Same way, whenever we are invested, try to see it is matching your requirement and also the risk appetite. Taxation. So dividend, earlier it was exempt, but now it has become taxable. So whatever is your slab, it is taxable according to that. If it is a short term, we are talking of equity. If it is a short term, that is within 1 year, if you are buying and selling the share, then it is going to be 15% tax. If the shares have been held for even 1 year and more, then your tax will be on long term will be 10%. However, up to 1 lakh rupees, you don't have to pay any tax. Government wants that people invest in equity and stay invested for a longer period. That's why this 1 lakh exemption is also available and even lower tax is available. Supposing you have selected debt schemes, then slabs are similar, bit different over here. Short term is 3 years. Up to 3 years, it's short term. Above 3 years, it will be long term. So long term is 20% over here. This all is capital gains chart. I'm not dwelling on much it. I already spoke on the earlier slide about this. What are the documentation? One thing is the will. Like we are talking of nomination when we are investing, always try to see that you also create a will when you have assets and you have dependents on you. There would be a spouse, there would be children. See that you create a will for your assets and see that you mention that whom you are giving it. When you're making the will, see that you have to even appoint a person who is going to execute that will. Also see that you have the people who are verifying it along with you. That is, they are going to be testing that this is fine. Yeah, in my presence, they have signed it. So those are some requirements of the will. When you're doing a will, have that things in the will, that who is going to be executing the will and who are the witness to the will. All these learnings, you can have it on the site. Lots of available over here. One last and important part: mutual funds are subject to market risk. Please read the investment document carefully. You would have heard this 100 times, but remember, even I tell you one more 100 times, you have to do this. Always read the documents carefully. There is something called SID, there is something called SI, there is something called KIM. So you have to read this document. You can skip the two, you can just read the KIM. KIM is a abridged version of both of them, where you will file all the details as to who are the fund managers, what are the schemes they are running, how old they are, and the scheme which they are bringing in, what is that scheme, where the money is going to be invested, all those things. Requisites for investment, KYC is always a requirement, remember this. And in mutual fund, it is CKYC. Once you are registered with one mutual fund, you are registered with all the mutual funds. So you don't have to do KYC if you are going to be registering, if you're going to be investing in another mutual fund. Once you already started with one mutual fund, you're registered, it is done. You don't have to do it again if you're investing in some other mutual fund. Do the nomination as I told you. Complaint redressal systems are also there. Scores, remember this. Like cricket score, there are scores portal over there. If you have any issues with the mutual fund, they are not responding you, you can put it in the scores and they will respond you. It can be as fast as 36 hours. So first, always go to the mutual fund with your grievances, and if they are not hearing you, they are not responding you, or you're not getting the proper answer, you can always lodge a complaint on the scores. So this is just a mechanism. I'm not telling much on that. Remember this site, www.scores.gov.in. It is a very useful one. Always use it whenever you have issues. These all are disclosures. Same, read the investment document carefully. So this is what we covered: create an emergency fund, adequate life insurance, do the asset allocation, SIP, do not panic at redemption. You are anyway doing SIP over here. Cost averaging is happening. Don't worry on that. And try to rebalance your portfolio depending on risk appetite and the time horizon. Save wisely, invest rightly, plan smartly. So that was all I wanted to cover over here. Now I'll just move to the videos. Any queries in between, you can please put up the queries. I'm just trying to open the videos. So let me see. Uh, just a moment. I understand the volume is not there.
You invest 500 rupees every month. Given the market volatility, the cost of purchasing a unit of a mutual fund will change every month. Say, in the first month, you may get 40 units for 500 rupees. In the second month, you may also get 25 units for the same amount, and perhaps more in the next month, say 45 units. This difference in price averages out over time, giving you the best possible price per unit over time.
I think some disturbance in the running this video. Mr. Pratik, you are there? Mr. Pratik? I'm facing some issue running the videos. So I'll just come to the chat. Any questions, please put up. I think some questions are already there, but I may have missed it out. So I request the participants to please put up your questions again. If anything is missed out, I will just take it up. Kindly share the government link again. Okay. I'll type it in the chat. In which mutual fund should we invest? Yeah, there is this session is purely in informative session. So while we have a PPT of one of the mutual funds, but that is not the purpose of the mutual fund. So like I mentioned, whenever you're investing in mutual fund, try to see what is the AUM, asset under management of that mutual fund. Because if the asset under management of the mutual fund is very large, then it can be considered to be a very good investment very good in mutual fund. Secondly, how old it is there in the market. The one who is much longer period of time can be preferred vis-a-vis something who is for a shorter period of time. Thirdly, the most important part, the scheme what you're looking for, just see the returns of that scheme of that mutual fund for last 3 years or 5 years, and also compare the similar scheme of some other mutual funds, 2 or 3 or 4 of them, and then compare the returns and then take a call. So it should be purely your call. If you have any issues on that, then as I mentioned over there, you can always go for a regular scheme where you can look for a registered distributor. He can help you to guide to analyze these things and take a call, which you can always utilize this service for. It is going to cost you initially, but in due course, when you realize it, you'll be able to do it directly, so that save on that commission also. So I'll just remember these 4 points. Have a look for a good AUM, large AUM, old mutual fund over there, and the schemes also you compare it accordingly. I think something else was there on the chat I'm taking up. In the meantime, any other questions, please go on putting it. Who is the best shares of the mutual fund? I just answered that, Mr. Rajat. Just you have to take your own call. Don't go by anybody else's saying where to invest. I give those criteria. Please utilize that. I'm investing in Tata Teleservices. No specific questions on this. I will not answer this one specifically. Always try to see when you're investing directly in the companies, go again to the same story. What is the fundamentals of the company? Who are the management? How long are they performing? what is the business they are into. Have they changed their business model? Now that business model, is it going to work here on? Then you take a call and then try to see, evaluate what is the price you are paying for that, and then take a call whether to invest or not. Those basic things you need to do. If you're not able to do that, then take a mutual fund route, wherein they will be investing in that small cap, mid cap companies. So to just select that scheme and they will do it for you. I had gone upwards, so I covered that. I'm coming down again. Whether mutual funds are eligible for tax exemption. Mutual funds, as I mentioned, there are different schemes. So there is also a scheme called ELSS, right? Let me I'll put it in the chat over here. ELSS scheme. This is equity. This is equity linked savings schemes. So in mutual fund, if you have selected equity linked savings schemes, ELSS, then that amount what you invested is eligible for deduction from your income under section 80C. In 80C, you have 1,50,000 slab that any investment eligible under 80C up to 1,50,000, you are allowed to take a deduction from your income for calculation of the tax. So if you are invested in mutual fund and if you're invested in ELSS scheme, then only that ELSS scheme amount what you invested will be eligible. Supposing you have selected some equity scheme which is not ELSS, it is not eligible for deduction. Yeah, Mr. Maipal has asked a question, how long should we wait? So first thing and most foremost thing is what is your goal? Why did you invest in that mutual fund, that particular scheme? Supposing your goal was to be for a retirement corpus, then you need to be waiting for that period. Don't withdraw irrespective of the fact that market has gone up tremendously. Unless you feel you are able to manage that, you sell it and then wait to market to come down and do it. Otherwise, don't get into that. You're doing a SIP. We saw rupee cost averaging. When market is going up, your values are increasing. Market is going down, you're accumulating more units. So just see what is the goal you are invested for. If that goal is there, then only withdraw, else don't withdraw. In the longer period of time, equity are capable of giving you very good returns, as good as 15% or more. So you are going to get good returns if you are staying in equity. This is not a guarantee, this is not an assurance, but this is the experience basically. So always see what is the goal you are invested for and wait for that goal. You will get a best return for that time period what you invested. Remember, every scheme has its own ups and downs, own best pluses and minuses. So while you're selecting for a scheme for a shorter period, 3 years, 5 years, whatever scheme you select for the 3 5 years, that will give you best return for that 3 to 5 years. Because mutual fund knows that you're invested for that 3 to 5 years. So accordingly, they will be managing the fund in that period of time. Hope I answered that, Mr. Maipal. I lost the connection again, just a moment. I lost the connection on the PPT, but however, I can see the chat. If any questions, you can just put it on the chat. Any questions? Okay. I think we already exceeded the time and covered lots of it. So I think we can end the session over here. Handing over to, I think, anybody taking charge over from here? Mr. Pratik? Yeah, Pinaki, you want to ask something? Yeah, I see no questions coming in. So I think we will end the session over here. Thanks for the participations. Hope this session would have helped you to know few things which you are expecting over here, and maybe that would make you useful when you're investing in the future. Always try to see that you make the wise decisions when you're investing and start early. Don't delay the investment part. So thanks a lot for the participation. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir. Have a nice day.
লিভ করে দিছো মিটিং?